Hi, I just wanted to talk about a few things today. For one, I want to talk about my official declaration of production year, how that works, which I do every year. Now I'm like 2 years ahead of schedule, which contains what I call forward looking statements for potential future stakeholders. And the idea is just to make my art practice. I do interdisciplinary art research in passing, and I try to make my practice dependable, is the term I would use, accountable too, and transparent, but mostly dependable because there's nothing better than like certain economics. If we could have certainty about financial markets and economics and everything, life would be so much easier. But there's uncertainty. That's just how it works. But if you can be dependable in your art practice, which means if when I do my official declaration of what I call my production year, and I'll explain that in a bit. When I do the official declaration, um, I lay out all of the projects that I've worked on, that I'm working on, that I plan on working in the next at least 2 years, or 1 or 2 years ahead of time. And I start my production year, and I do the official declaration, or have for the last 10 years or 9 years. I do it in the fall because I was born in the fall, and there's many reasons for that, which I can maybe explain. But in the fall, that's when my production year starts. So this year, well, right now, this fall, or last summer, I guess, I started the official declaration of production year for year 2026, 2027. I think I would have to check. I'm ahead of schedule because what happened is the ninth year I would start in the fall every year, and then the ninth year I think it was I started like in May of the year, and then by the time at one point I ended up looping a whole year, and I'm a whole year ahead of time. So this year's declaration was already, I did like two declarations in 1 year. And so I just basically, now the way I do it, I say where 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 I've been, where I come from, where I am now, and where am I going with this. And I must say that my art operation, my that I call it art research operation, is what was I going to say? That the art operation is in the studio, which I call the Historiotech. They're conceived as what I call cultural software, and I've talked about this in other videos, where I do releases, official releases, and this is separate to the official declaration. The official releases of the software, we'll call it, the operating system of my practice. So I treat it as though it was software. I document it online on GitHub. I document it across blogs and social media, constantly documenting all my processes and practices and methodologies, techniques. Um, the art operation in my case is a one-person operation. I just want to make it dependable for people. I said for future potential stakeholders. So anyone who's interested in my practice can look at my official declarations for 10 years and see that I've always been either on schedule or way ahead of schedule. And now I'm like a whole year or two ahead of schedule. And I always follow exactly what I say. So it's very structured and meticulous. And it's done that way deliberately. I mean, that's maybe one of my, I wouldn't call it genius because usually you don't tell people you're a genius about anything. It doesn't look good, but I have a kind of quirk, we'll call it, where I'm really good at structuring that kind of thing. I'm really dependable when it comes to what I say I'm going to do, and as an artist, and I work my art is project based, so I have projects, and I have dozens of projects. Now I work in a distributed manner, so at any moment I work, we'll say for half an hour or longer, usually in short bursts. And I'll take it whatever project is most proximate, I call it, whatever's most ready to hand. So if I'm working, I said whatever pops into my mind, like this, the ref cards project, the legal tender project, the history project, the archives project. I got dozens of projects, so one will pop up, and I'll go on whatever blog or do digital work, do painting. I do painting and digital visual design, digital paintings. Do music and art and sound design, atmospheric stuff, and digital music, electronic music, and mostly loops and stuff. And I write poetry and songs and novels and nonfiction, like research. So there's a research aspect which is really strong. So I can maybe get back to the official declaration because this year, I mean, it's very. I do important updates too. Every once in a while, I do an update. And today, I did an official release of version. It was just a patch. It wasn't a major or minor version. So it was like version 4.2.1, if I'm not mistaken, of the Historiotech, the art operation. And I have a special blog on Medium where I do my official releases and I describe what, because what happened is I had a fallow period, I call it. I was kind of supposed to go on hiatus for the since May. In May I had a really productive period. See, in the official releases, just to get on that subject for now, even though that wasn't the objective, uh, in the official releases of the semantic versions of the operating system, the Historiotech, the art operation, um, those what happens is that I relaunch the Historiotech, the studio, the art and research and lab, audio design laboratory. I launch it. I'm super productive for a period, maybe a month or two, and then I shut it down. Sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes it's a few days. It's constantly being, I call it Babel up and Babel down. It gets launched up and it gets shut down because it has to be shut down because in just bug fixes, there's new features or functionality that need to be added. There's sometimes major versions that are they're not backward compatible. So it's really like software. It's not software, but I call it cultural software anyways. So the other thing I want to get to, and it's linked to the official declarations, is the Painter's Almanach. You know what an almanac is? It's like these little books they used to have, and they still do, where like you could have meteorological information about the seasons, the coming seasons, different astrological things, whatever. All information to, I see it as a sort of guidebook for your year, you know, a secular liturgical thing in my case. You know, you'll see after I get back to that with the Seasons of the Heart project. But the Painter's Almanac is just a book that's ongoing, that's open-ended, that just gives information that's relevant to the times, to the passing seasons, and the different calendars, if you will, the calendrical system. So in one of my first in my first official declarations, I talked about the Painter's Almanac, where the different calendars, all, you know, there's the fiscal calendars and the school calendar and media and news calendars and production calendars and the seasons and nature and the moon and the sun and the stars, hormonal and all these cycles, they sort of superimpose and create these complex wave dynamics. But Painter's Almanac, so I wrote over many years something called the Diary of a Self-Portrait, where I did a self-portrait every day for a long period. I wrote my thoughts about it, the process. I did a Diary of a Serial Painter, 2 parts. And because I'm a serial painter too, it's project-based, it's iterative, it's evolutionary, generative. It's a rigorous, comprehensive workflow management methodology and a design methodology too. Because I consider art design in a form of science, which is research in the humanities. I mean, it's still science, it's just not super rigorous. Anyways, I can maybe do another video on the Painter's Almanac, but I wanted to get to the Seasons of the Heart project. That's a song cycle for the year, and it's for every moment of the year. There's going to be, I'm envisioning maybe 300 or 400 musical pieces. Right now I'm doing them mostly for I was doing them for piano and organ, but I might have works for guitar and orchestral works done via computer and sound design. And it's like a liturgical calendar in we'll say the Catholic religion in the church. You have the liturgy is basically just the outward works, we'll call them, like the dress, the what goes on in mass publicly, the public facing things, you know, the paintings of the church, the architecture, the music, that the words spoken, the selections of the readings, it's all liturgy. So I call my Seasons of the Heart project, because it has seasons, like the winter of the soul, the springtime of my life, the summer of the heart, and autumn of atonement. Those are the main seasons, but there could be seasons, like I had a cold or cool summer, it was a fallow period. And before that I had a springtime of life that was very ebullient and very active and almost agitated. I was super productive and had to shut down the art operation. But before that I had another fallow period, but that was in the winter, so it was a long winter of the soul, because it's a fallow period, it's wintering. Now I had a summer of the soul, you know, so it could go in any way. There's countless ways that you can have seasons. They could be of all sorts. And what was I going to say about that? Was that, well, it's a secular liturgy. It's not religious. Although I do take themes from different religious calendars, I try to keep it secular because it's just, I mean, I might have my own religious propensities, but I don't want to impose it on anybody because I'm an artist and a researcher, and I don't do politics and I don't do religion. There's a lot of things I don't do, but I don't do that. I don't want to pronounce myself on any political ideology because I just think I cut. If I say I'm a leftist or a right winger, I'm going to cut like potential stakeholders, future potential stakeholders of all sorts, that are not going to be interested in my art, possibly because of the positions that I took. So I try to just be impartial. And so the Seasons of the Heart project is that song cycle mostly, but it includes paintings because I'm interdisciplinary. I do images, sounds, and text. And I work across those three modes of expression. And my methodology, which is rigorous and comprehensive, just involves a day-to-day practice of documenting and producing artworks and cultural artifacts and in the art operation, producing official releases of the software semantic versions, the official declaration once or now multiple times a year for future potential stakeholders, and the Painter's Almanach is the main overlying fabric of my existence as an artist. It's what I want to really leave behind as a testament to what I've witnessed, because the term for historiotech actually comes from the Greek word for witness and box, so it's a witness box. And I myself am a witness box. I have my own internal tabernacle or ark, my own inner witness box. But the outward one is the one that I write about in my documentation practice every day. Thank you. That's all for now.